When I was a kid, I wanted to draw the funny pages. I would check out massive compendiums of cartoons from the library and read them back to back. Garfield, Pearls Before Swine, Foxtrot, Calvin and Hobbes, all the classics. And artist has been how I describe myself for as long as I can remember. And in my head, there were always two versions of myself. There was the artist version, who people came to when they wanted a portrait of themselves, who family, friends requested custom birthday cards from, and who got praised for the laziest of sketches. And then there was the embarrassing, uncool version of myself who got asked out on dates as a joke. So long as people understood I was an artist, they could overlook all the other stuff. And I do like drawing, I really do. I was taking a walk the other day, and I saw a comic on an office door. It said,
"Everyone tells you how hard it is to be an artist, but no one tells you how hard it is not to be an artist."
And it got me thinking. I guess it has been really easy for me not to be an artist, because I haven't drawn anything in, well, months. I'm not the kind of person that operates in gray areas. I'm either an indulgent hedonist for an entire semester, or I'm completely sober. I'm either productive in a way that borders on mania, or if I backslide just a little bit, I waste the entire week watching TV in bed. And I'm the same way with drawing. In high school, I spent all my plentiful free time making huge, labor-intensive masterpieces. And then when I got to college, whenever I'd have a little bit of a break, I'd take on these massive pieces. But when the real work started, well, that's when the drawing stopped. I like what I do. I'm a student, I make videos, and I write essays about media. It's really quite cushy stuff. My major requires an internship. I write for the paper. I edit the newspaper. We talk about job interviews and resume workshops and how to start building a portfolio. So every time I sit down to draw, there's this nagging voice that says, "None of this is making any money. Would being paid to draw make me hate it? And then what? Would I have to stick to one medium to pick a brand? What if my job wants me to work in digital, but what I really want to do is just make felt crafts all day?" We undervalue artists, but we want our surroundings, our ads, our buildings to be beautiful. And we ask our machines to make art, and our humans to do the busy work. We don't want to be fed slop, but we're not exactly not trying to consume it. And art is literally everywhere. I mean, fractals, patterns, designs found in nature and our entire DNA. I always wonder why the cavemen drew. I mean, they had no sort of money or motivation or social media. Do you think they just looked at a tree and thought, "Yeah, this tree is something I'd like to remember"? Or do you think drawing was just the next natural step after writing, once you figure out how to use tools and all that? If humans are supposed to be natural storytellers like that, then I've definitely lost the plot. I thought reconnecting with nature and the world around me would make me want to be creative again, and I was at the point where I would have tried anything for that creative boost. And I realized that the issue wasn't a lack of inspiration, it was a lack of trust in myself. Okay, so what do you mean by that? You're telling me you're afraid to make art? Well, afraid isn't exactly the right word, but I guess it brings up a laundry list of regrets for me. Like, I wish my parents had forced me into drawing lessons as a toddler so it could absolve me of whatever present-day mediocrity I'm dealing with. Is that really what you want? Because if I remember right, you had a pretty nice childhood. Yeah, well, what is childhood if not time to invest into an above-average adulthood? Hey man, listen to yourself. This is coming from the guy who considers himself an anti-capitalist. Yeah, well, here's another regret. I wish I'd said something better to the kids who asked me out on dates as jokes because I was a four-eyed middle school queer. Alright, but what does that have to do with art exactly? I mean, nothing, but look at you, you're embarrassing. If I don't have anything to show to the world, to provide, I mean, you're all people see, not my hard work, not any talent, just some short, nerd who figured out deodorant way too late in the game. Is that what you want? I don't. Hey man, I figured out deodorant just fine, okay? Okay, well, I feel like you're not really listening to me. Look, here's another regret. I wish I didn't have to have a job and I didn't have to make money and I could just go out with my watercolors, my sketchbook, and draw people all day out in nature like I feel like we're supposed to be doing. Wait a minute, how is that a regret? You know that's something you could just go out and do, right? No, that's scary. I mean, no one's there telling me what they want me to draw. I mean, it's just me and my stupid sketchbook and who cares about that? Well, does anyone except you really need to care? I mean, it makes you happy, right? I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't really know. I like the funny pages because they were so simple, so succinct. You had 4, maybe 6 panels on a Sunday. You had the same characters, the same clothes every day, the same locations, and all you had to do was make people laugh. But art, like life, is never that self-contained. I think it's something natural. Like dancing, like using the bathroom, like crying. I always told people that my dream was to draw and publish a graphic novel. And I mean, I've been saying that since I could read graphic novels. But recently I've walked that back a little bit. I've started screenwriting, thinking about going into film, and it feels like a bit of a betrayal. But look at a movie. Look at the way they plan out the shots. It's like a comic book. It's all connected. Art is like a comic book, and comic books are like movies, which are like life, which is like art, I guess. Are you following any of this? I draw comics because I can't afford to make a movie. You don't draw comics, though. We've established that. Well, I'm trying to. It's that damn phone. Okay, there's one thing I left out. It's not just schoolwork and the existential horror of living under capitalism that has gotten in my way of making art. It's also technology. Trying to quit technology is like trying to quit caffeine when you work at the Red Bull factory and all your work and all your education is centered around testing out the flavors and learning how best to drink Red Bull, and all your friends are constantly drinking Red Bull when you're together. And when you're constantly overstimulated, it's hard to find any less stimulating activities rewarding at all. I've put limits in place with the addicted apps or just blocked them from my devices altogether. So I want to quit, but it's much easier just to waste away the hours binge watching The Sopranos than it is to start a creative project after an exhausting day. The only excuse that I have for myself is, well, that I've gotten lazy. And I think I owe my art an apology for that. Or rather, I owe myself an apology, because if my childhood self saw what I was doing, he would be horrified. So, to myself, I'm sorry for letting cheap entertainment distract me from what I always believed my true calling to be. I'm sorry that I haven't written that graphic novel that I've told myself every year since infancy that I would make. I'm sorry for consuming far beyond what I've created. I'm sorry for corrupting art as a service, as a commodity, rather than as something natural and free. I apologize for it all. Okay, but I can literally see you looking at Letterboxd reviews while you write the script. I'm multitasking. I really wish I could tell you that I have a simple answer to all of this. How to reinvigorate my creative spirit. I've laid everything out here like chapters, like a comic book, you could say. But a comic book that has an annoyingly open-ended final scene. But what I will tell you is that I've been more creative in the few weeks I've been making this video than I have been in maybe the entire year. And for the most part, that feels really good. So maybe what I have to do is go back to my roots. Read some funny pages, get some tracing paper, and find a frame in a manga that I really like. Because, like I said, movies...
Mediocrity's everywhere. I absolve you.
...are like comics, which are like life, which is like art, which is like life, and the cycle continues and on and on and on and on. I wish my parents had forced me into drawing lessons as a toddler so it could absolve me of whatever present-day mediocrity I'm dealing with. And it's really hard not to be an artist, because everything I see and everything I consume still has this undercurrent running through it, telling me to make something out of it. It's just about letting those creative muscles power through all the noise, whether it's singing, playing an instrument, or just making something stupid and amateurish. So, I think I'm gonna keep making comics. Because it's the only thing I've ever been sure about, especially when my identity has been so tumultuous in other ways. So if you see me reading Garfield in public, even having a little chuckle over it, mind your own business. Because apparently this whole art thing is supposed to be fun. I mean, can't you tell?